How many discounts does USAA Auto Insurance offer? Too many to say here. Multi-vehicle discount, safe driver discount, new vehicle discount, storage discount, legacy.
How many discounts will you stack up? Visit USAA.com/auto discounts. Restrictions apply.
This Steve Jones Show podcast is now loading. The Steve Jones Show podcast is presented by Sunbury Motor Company, Purdy Insurance, and Brewers Outlet. Bringing you an in-depth look at Penn State sports and more. This is the Steve Jones Show on News Radio 1070 WKOK. The Steve Jones Show is presented by Brewers Outlet, Sunbury Motor Company, and Purdy Insurance. Now from the Sunbury Motor Studio, here's Steve Jones.
And a pleasant Thursday to you. This half hour being brought to you by Sunbury Motors, 4th Street in Sunbury. Sunbury Motors Kia, routes 11 and 15 Hummels Wharf. Online at sunburymotors.com. Ford, Kia, Hyundai, the best in new inventory. Great sales staff. Stanger couldn't have been better to me. He was incredible. The buying experience all the way through, great, including the financing, getting the warranty I needed. But they also have great pre-owned inventory. And they go over each car with a fine-tooth comb to make the buying experience easier for you and the service department. Whether it's quick lane, inspections, routine, difficult, all at Sunbury Motors, 4th Street in Sunbury. Sunbury Motors Kia, routes 11 and 15 Hummels Wharf, and online at sunburymotors.com. We bring in the outstanding John Perrotto. John, welcome back to the show. It's really great to have you with us.
Good to be with you, Steve. Thanks for having me.
I know you're doing a wide range of things and not just the Pirates right now, so I'd like to start with the wide range. I mean, the trade of Rafael Devers to the Giants in exchange for, I'll get back to you later as to what they got. I do know the one guy, Jordan Hicks, he pitched here in State College. But what does that – the Giants have been trying to do this for years to get the big name, Carlos Correa. They tried to get him. Aaron Judge tried desperately to get him. They finally break through in a trade and get Devers. What does it mean for them?
Well, I think obviously in a very tough division that makes some serious contenders now to try to unseat the Dodgers as the champs in National League West and also hold off the Padres and the Diamondbacks in that race. You don't get the opportunity to get a player like that very often in a trade, especially this time of year. Usually maybe toward the trade deadline and usually a big star like that more in the off season. But it became pretty clear that the situation with Devers refusing to play in the field anymore became untenable in Boston, and they were just looking to cut their losses with him. And like you said, the Giants they've gone big game hunting for a few years here without much success, and boy, this trade really helps them a lot. He'll eventually settle in at first base after he gets his feet settled in San Francisco, and that adds a big bat to a lineup that really needs another big power hitter. They haven't had anybody hit 30 home runs since Barry Bonds 20 years ago.
Well, he plays one game at first base for the Giants. He's going to drive everybody in New England nuts. Just so you know. Yet the Red Sox are an interesting team. They've gone young. I mean, Mayer's now up with them. Campbell started the season with them. Roman Anthony is now up with them. Is this what we're seeing from them? They're acting like a small market team, but they also have a farm system.
They do have, as you mentioned, those three players are all very, very highly regarded players. And, the Red Sox are kind of in between here. They're still trying to win this year, even after that trade and bringing up so many of the younger guys. But they also have a bright future. And I know I got a chance to talk to Alex Cora, the Red Sox manager, in spring training. And he said the thing about Meyer and Anthony and Christian Campbell, he said, when you look at these guys, they look like players, not just young prospects. He said they look like legitimate big league players, and I think all three of them have a chance to be really, really, all-star caliber type players, and somebody that the Red Sox can build around for quite a few years.
Okay, the Pirates are the only team in the Central that's under 500. They're under 400. since they made the managerial change, they played a little bit better. Why?
I think, for one, I think things just kind of got stale attitude-wise. Not attitude-wise, but I should say just all the way around. It seemed like they got off to such a bad start this year. There were so much negative things that happened off the field with the organization that I think it just needed a change, needed some fresh air, some different perspective, and I think they really respect Don Kelly a lot. I think Don was a utility guy, carved a pretty good career out of really not having a whole lot of great ability, and I just think his personality is such that he is almost impossible not to like and impossible not to want to play hard for.
I mean, which is great. Now, but even at the U.S. Open over at Oakmont, there were fans chanting "Sell the team."
Yes.
And like Scheffler wasn't going to sell his team, so I think he feels pretty good about the people he has around him. So we all know what team they want him to sell. I mean, how bad is that for the image of the club, for him, for the team, for baseball, that at the national championship golf tournament, they're chanting "Sell the team"?
It seems like to everybody but the Pirates, it's a bad look, and they just have no self-awareness, especially Bob Nutting. I totally think that he just insulates himself from this stuff, and he lets it roll off his back, and he's got a Major League Baseball team that's making a lot of money and not having to put a whole lot of money into it to make a lot of money because they get revenue-sharing money from Major League Baseball in a substantial amount. And I just think that the guy is embarrassment-proof. I mean, if somebody were yelling to sell the team at a golf tournament, I would be very, very embarrassed. But, that never seems to bother him. The fans don't like him, and that's being nice. Hate's probably a better word, and it really doesn't seem to bother him at all. And that's amazing to me that you could just not care at all about your image or what people think of you.
But how can you possibly have the outside baseball financial success he's had not be a competitor? That's the part that, letting things roll off his back, that's fine. I can actually admire part of that. There's no question about that. But you can't make the money he's made and not have some competitive juice inside you.
I tell you what, I have personal experience here. I worked for his newspapers for 1 year in 2009, and newspaper people are notoriously cheap. I think anybody who's ever worked in the media or certainly especially in newspapers realize that. But they didn't care about the product the year that I worked there, and you talk about cheap. They were the cheapest of the cheap, the Ogden newspaper group. So I'm not so sure that he has those competitive juices, Steve. He didn't grow up a baseball fan. He didn't grow up a sports fan like you did and I did. And I just don't think it matters that much to him. I think it's just an investment, and it's proving to be a very good investment because, again, he doesn't have to put a whole lot of money into it to make a lot of money. And I think anybody that runs a business and is able to do that is happy. And I just think that he just doesn't have that desire to win. It's not when you don't grow up around sports, when you don't grow up around baseball or any sport for that matter. I just think he doesn't grasp what it means to a lot of people, a lot of fans, how badly they want the Pirates to win, and I just don't think he has that passion for it.
What does it tell us about the mental makeup of Paul Skenes that he can go out and does what he does despite the swirl around the team and around him?
Well, it says a lot, and I will say this: he just turned 23 here a few weeks ago. I've never met a more mature 23-year-old person in my life. You talk to him and you think you're talking to a 50-year-old man instead of a 23-year-old, and I think a lot of that is just the fact, he went to the Air Force Academy. He had that, you learn that mental discipline and physical discipline when you go to a service academy like that. And I think he realizes there's not a whole lot he can do. I mean, there's only so much in his control. He can't make nothing go and get better players. He can't make his teammates score runs. He can't make his teammates make every defensive play. So I think he understands that he can only do what he can do, and he does it well. And I'm sure deep down there's a frustration there, but he really seems to handle it very, very well. And I keep waiting for him to eventually say something, but so far he continues to say the right things and do the right things.
The Pirates, of course, are in the position in the standings where they would be, quote, allegedly sellers. Who might be the guys that you're looking at over the next 5 weeks that may be the ones that are leaning toward being sold?
Well, I would say it's an interesting dynamic because Ben Cherington is in a tough spot as far as keeping his job. And do you try to save your job and make trades to help the team now, or do you do what's best for the organization and make trades for the long term? But to get to your original question, the one guy that really stands out to me is I think somebody they could get something for, now not a huge return, is Andrew Heaney, the left-handed starting pitcher who they signed in spring training, and he's pitched very well for the Pirates this year, and he's a free agent again at the end of this season. I think David Bednar, the closer, I think he's going to become too expensive for the Pirates after this year. They'll probably look to trade him, maybe Dennis Santana, another reliever. I think Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, the shortstop, is another free agent to be in. I think even Isaiah will admit that he's a little bit stretched at this point in his career to be an everyday shortstop. But I do think he would make a very good utility guy for a contending team. He can play all over the infield and the outfield and even catch, and not just as an emergency type catcher, Steve, but as somebody who has actually started about 45, 50 games behind the plate in his career, so he legitimately can play catcher if need be. So I think those guys, I don't think they're going to trade Keller or Hayes or Reynolds or certainly, Skenes or Cruz. They say they aren't going to trade. So I think they have a few pieces they can deal, but if they want to make that blockbuster trade, I just don't think it's going to happen.
Yeah, you mentioned Bednar. I think the entire key for Bednar moving is what the Red Sox make a decision on with Aroldis Chapman, because I think he'd be the number one guy people would want. Bednar would be a fallback. I mean, that's how I view it. If the Red Sox think they're in it and keep Chapman, then Bednar vaults to that top spot.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think Chapman's really gotten back on track. The last couple of years, he had a pretty good year here in Pittsburgh last year, and he's done really well for the Red Sox this year. And like you said, if the Red Sox decide that they don't think they're going to contend into August and September, and it would certainly make sense to trade him if he's on a one-year contract. But, the one thing about Bednar, he certainly raised his trade stock. When you talk to scouts, when you talk to people from other teams, managers, coaches, he's not all the way back to that all-star form that he showed in 22 and 23, but he's getting close, and he's pitching better. And I know there are a lot of contending teams that are keeping an eye on him ahead of the deadline.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting. How do you feel about O'Neal Cruz, his transition to the outfield, and about his bat and where he is right now?
I think he's gotten better in the outfield. I'm still not convinced he wants to play center field. I still think he's not happy that he was moved off shortstop. But he's getting better. He's making some plays now that he certainly wouldn't have made at the beginning of the season. I mean, he has the ability. There's no question. He has those long legs. He's 6'7". He covers a lot of ground. He has a strong arm, and the instincts are getting better as the more he's out there. So. The thing about him is if he hits, and he's going to hit for power, and he's going to strike out a lot, and he's going to walk a lot. So, he's not going to be a guy that's going to hit 290, 300, but if he keeps hitting home runs and driving in runs, you can live with the low batting average.
Well, Laker fans don't have to look far to at least get a model as to how the Lakers could be run now under new ownership after a $10 to $11 billion sale. And some people just have that kind of money laying around. But when you look at the structure of the Dodgers, we know they spend a lot. In your opinion, are they smart with how they spend it?
Wait a minute. You're the voice of one of the most tradition-bound football programs in the country. You're not making $10 billion a year by now?
I don't like to brag.
Okay, I'm sorry. I don't want to put you in a position to brag. I get it, but they are.
It's a good one, John. I like that. That was good.
Yeah, I don't have $10 billion laying around either, in case you're looking for a loan. But anyway,
well, that's because you worked in a newspaper, and the guy that ran it that one year was cheap.
I'm lucky I got paid. It wasn't volunteer work.
Right, exactly.
But getting back to your question, which I think I remember,
it's the Dodgers and the Lakers. There we go.
Yeah, that's quite a combination of two of the most storied franchises in professional sports. And really, I mean, with the way baseball's set up, and I'm not big on crying poor for the small market teams,
right.
But the Dodgers basically have unlimited spending capacity, and they're going to spend whatever it takes to win. And that does make it hard for only, pretty much every other team in baseball to keep up with the Dodgers. But, that really tells you their financial might. Not only do they have the highest payroll in baseball, but now they bought an NBA team for $10 billion.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I don't think the Dodgers are going away anytime soon with that kind of resources, that's for sure.
I think they should use LeBron as a pinch runner. So, look, that's one thing when I look at the Dodgers and how they go about their business. There are just a couple of teams that don't care about the luxury tax. I mean, and that's the whole key. They've got the luxury tax as that artificial cap, and a lot of teams like to get near it but not go past it. They could give a darn if they go way past it. I think that's just the mental difference.
Yeah, they're willing to pay the tax. Them and the Mets are the two teams. Even the Yankees have been a little more conservative toward reaching that tax threshold in the last few years. But, I mean, I know it's a cliche and people say it all the time, but money really is no object for the Dodgers. I mean, it's like, not only are they good on the field, but, they're averaging almost 50,000 people a game. They're going to draw $4 million again this year. They have one of the most lucrative TV deals because they own their own network, Spectrum Sports, in Los Angeles. And, they're just in a very good financial spot. And, the winning just makes it better, makes it even better for them because they keep drawing big crowds and, getting a lot of television revenue. And, eventually things always go in cycles here. But, boy, it doesn't look like the Dodgers are heading a down cycle anytime soon.
Finally, John, we're nearly 3 months in. Is there a team that has established itself over 3 months that's a bit of a surprise to you that you think is in for the long haul?
Yeah, I think the Tigers, maybe people would say, well, they were in the playoffs last year, but I think a lot of people thought that they were kind of snuck into the playoffs and they weren't necessarily a playoff caliber team. I didn't think they would have such distance in the American League Central as they do. I believe they're up by 7 games or 8, something like that. And I like them. The more I watch them play, I mean, they have good pitching. They have a solid lineup up and down. They play good defense. And I guess I'm not surprised that they're having a decent season, but I certainly didn't think they would have the best record in baseball here on June 19th. That's for sure.
Let's give A.J. Hinch credit. He actually can manage people. You can get a stigma when things are like they were with the Astros. The guy actually can manage. I got to give him credit. So, hey, John, always a pleasure. Thanks so much for your valuable time today. I really appreciate it.
Oh, my pleasure, Steve. Thanks for having me. It's always good to talk with you.
The outstanding John Perrotto does a great job covering Major League Baseball, the Pirates,
Party time, game time, or just fun time. Doesn't matter what time it is because it's Brewers Outlet time. The beverage supermarket has the area's largest beer selection. Imports, microbrews, ciders, and domestics. Pick from over 100 ice-cold 12-packs and dozens of 24-ounce singles. Soda, snacks, hot sauces, fresh roasted peanuts. Make it one-stop party shopping, and don't forget the pickle bar. So whatever you're celebrating or just doing it up, Brewers Outlet, Reagan Street, Sunbury wants to see you and thank you for your years of patronage.